So just to kick things off here, my name is Kirk. I'm the CEO of Foresight CFO. In addition, I teach financial management to graduate students at Georgetown University. How do we use the numbers to have clarity about options and follow through? So I'm really happy. Casey and I met years ago, even before Foresight existed. He was doing some pretty amazing things at an educational company, for-profit company, to get the right students there. So Casey, I'm really glad that you're here, and you're going to help all of us be smart about what this new approach you're talking about to do even better at lead generation. So you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get to that in just a second. I'll do a full introduction there. But James, I see that you're coming in from Denver. Great to hear from you. All right, let's just dive in. I've got an introduction here, just a couple slides in. So this webinar is called How to Build an Agile Marketing Team to Outpace Your Competition Quickly. Now, if you stick around to the end of this webinar, you're going to get an Agile Marketing meeting agenda so that you can use that with your team. This is the actual agenda that we've used, and we've had other people that we've trained use. So it's something that you can adopt pretty quickly, and we'll give you that link at the end. All right. So who's this webinar for? This webinar is for any ambitious business owner or COO or CMO, marketing manager, coordinator, or marketing director. If you want to build a winning marketing team and execute effectively to generate predictable growth in your business. Oops. So I'm going to give you 5 promises here. These are 5 things that I'm going to cover in the webinar. Promise number 1 is I'm going to tell you what agile marketing is not. And your team may be set up for failure right now instead of success. Promise number 2 is I'm going to show you where the role of strategy fits into execution and how to get out of your team's way of delivering on time. That's really what we want, right? We want our teams to deliver on spec, on time.
Yeah.
Promise number 3 is the key thing your marketing department is lacking right now that's causing your team to spend excessive time to deliver small results. You're spending too much time delivering small results. So I'll help you uncover that and how to fix it. And then how to annihilate your uncertainty around what to do every week in marketing to propel your business forward confidently. And I'll tell you, your competitors, the ones that are like the incumbents in the space, are probably doing this. And it's a small shift that you can make that will allow you to have more confidence. And promise number 5 is how to do all of this without hiring a full-time in-house CMO or marketing leader. So a lot of this you're going to be able to do just yourself. You're going to be able to hand out this agenda that I'll give at the end of the call. And I think it'll be pretty straightforward for you. So we've got a quick poll question. Kurt, can you send out the first poll question? We want to see who's in the room, which is, what was your top line revenue in 2019? Yep. Then you can also answer the second question, which is, this year with COVID, what do you expect your revenue to be or to do?
Yeah, increase, decrease, stay about the same. And it's been an interesting year, right? Overall, the global economy is being contracted by 4.5%, but next year the global economy expects to rebound to almost 3 to 4%. So it's interesting.
I think those are interesting. I find the numbers that really scare me is the New York Times reported in August that 30 to 33% of SMBs in New York City are closed down, never to reopen.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be just crippling there.
Yeah.
So we all can see the poll that's on your screen. Go ahead and fill that out.
Yeah, great. I mean, numbers are all over. I've heard 20%, that kind of thing. So it's something. So for those of us who want to really thrive, no matter what the environment is, this is a lead generation. The right people is a good way to do it. So we got 9 out of 15. If you want to vote, a few more seconds here. What's your top line revenue? And then I'm going to share the results, but your response will remain anonymous. Okay. Here we go, Quincy.
Let's see them.
Okay, so most of us, a little bit over half, are 0 to 5 million. There's 2 that are the 5 to 10, another 2 that are 10 to 40. So this is good, especially on the 2 latter tiers. To crank up the lead generation will really pay off. And in case you may argue, even that at the earlier size companies, it may pay off quite a bit. And take a look on the like almost 60% of us expect, revenue to decrease this year. right? So that good timely topic then. So, what can we do to get it to where it needs to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the decrease is, maybe that decrease comes from losing one major client. If you're in a type of business that has few but mighty clients, seeing a lot of folks are staying the same, a third of them, and then only one person is saying that they're looking for an increase or expecting an increase. And kudos to you. There's definitely companies that are blowing up right now, and there's companies that are crashing and burning. I think yesterday, Quibi, who raised $1.5 billion in investments, folded. I mean, that's unreal, right? So some giants, or I guess pseudo giants or make-believe giants. I mean, was that company even worth $1.5 billion in investment? But they're failing, but other companies are doing very well. And we're seeing some really neat opportunities to sell online and to convert people with marketing in a way that is never been more important.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to dive into it. So we've got our 2 questions. Yep. All right. So I just want to be real clear. There's nothing for sale in this webinar. So I really do want you to stick around to the end because I think it'll be valuable for you. My goal is to provide you with value. And if you stick around until the end, again, I have a useful gift for you. It's that Agile Marketing Meeting agenda, but some other stuff there too. I've pulled together a couple different documents for you. So who are we? So Kirk already introduced himself as the CEO of Foresight CFO, Georgetown University lecturer. He focuses on providing clarity, confidence, and impact. And he has CFOs supporting organizations worldwide, including DC, New York, Chicago, Maryland, Virginia, Connecticut. And again, Kirk and I met, oh man, it was a while ago, 5-6 years ago, maybe. Yeah. And I'm Casey Stanton. I'm the founder of a company called CMOX, or CMO Exponential. I help businesses scale their revenue through marketing, and I've been doing it since the Great Recession of 2008, when I couldn't find a job and had to figure it out myself. So I'm an expert on the evolving landscape of marketing strategy, of digital marketing, sales, and remote teams. I'm always looking for win-win outcomes for entrepreneurs and their team members. I'm a former Tulane University professor of marketing. Roll Tide. Wait, roll wave. Whoops. My wife's from Alabama. That's the Roll Tide. I'm a Michigan State alumni, and I spend my weekends with my wife and our newborn son and our dog exploring Philadelphia. We moved here January of last year. So a few of the clients that we've worked with, just to kind of give you some background at CMOX, here's just a couple of them. Abundance 360 in the top left. Abundance 360 is one of the largest, largest groups of exponential entrepreneurs, people that are really blowing up their business, a lot in like the health or space industry. I've worked with Bo Eason, who's the former NFL safety for the Houston Oilers, who teaches people how to use their physicality on stage and in sales presentations to close more business. I've worked with Farnam Street, and I love Farnam Street. I think they're an excellent company. They have the second highest readership of folks on Wall Street, second to the Wall Street Journal. And they're all about thinking better, mental models and things like that. I've worked with certification organizations like the Relationship School or Working Against Gravity in the nutrition space. I've worked with SaaS companies like Fastmail. We advise fastmail.com, which is one of the leading Gmail alternatives for people who are privacy aware, and Apostrophe CMS, which is a Node.js open source CMS with an enterprise package. So we've worked with a number of different clients. And what you're going to learn today, I actually honed through both success in working with some great clients and having some great successes, but also through failure. I want to be clear here that I'm not just like a lucky guy. So let me just show you real quick this huge failure that I did. Man, it was in 2011. I was like 2.5 years into marketing at this point. And we had a client and they spent $183,000 on a campaign, and we returned about $150 in sales, not profit, but sales. So we forked over nearly 200 grand for $150 back in our pocket. So it was a net loss of $183,000, like $142, $44. I mean, it was awful. Learned a lot from that one, as you can imagine, but also had some big successes like Life Aid Beverage Company. Life Aid is, they'd kill me if I said this, but they're like the Red Bull of CrossFit, right? They're like a tall drink. It's an energy drink of sorts that That's paleo. And I helped them grow from $700,000 a month to over $1 million a month in just 35 days. So I
Wow.
did that by focusing on their marketing, specifically following something that I have called the functional marketing framework. And we identified the biggest levers. So most organizations are on the left here, which is they've got talent, they've got resources, but they're doing too many things. And as a result, they've got a scattered focus and they don't deliver the results that they need. What we're going to talk about is on the right-hand side of this, which is having focused energy and focusing it enough to get to the result that is important to you. So let's talk about agile marketing. What is not agile marketing? Okay. Sometimes it's easier to say what it's not than what it is. So what it's not is you're not running an agile marketing department if you have more marketing priorities than you have resources to achieve the desired outcomes, right? That's kind of like a pipe dream we have as like business owners, right? We think, oh, we can do all these things, but we don't have the capacity for it, right? So you're not agile if you're doing that. If you're unable to deliver valuable results with your marketing campaigns, you don't have an agile marketing department. If you lack an overarching marketing strategy, not an agile marketing department. If there are no owners of projects and outcomes, right? If someone doesn't actually own it, not like the team owns it, but like an individual person owns it. If you don't have that, not agile. And then finally, if you change your priorities midweek regularly, you're not agile. So let's talk about what agile is, right? A company that is not running with an agile methodology is likely dysfunctional. Agile is a term that comes from the software development world, describing a methodology for identifying work to be done, tasking it, and seeing that the work gets accomplished. It's pretty simple. But like, how does that happen? That's the question. Applying agile to marketing is relatively new nomenclature, though the strategy has existed for many years. Right? I feel like agile marketing is kind of like the new word to use, right? It's getting thrown around in the jargon, but it's not necessarily new. It's just an approach to your marketing department. So what are the 6 traits of an agile marketing team? And I encourage you to grab a piece of paper and jot these down. I think these are going to be important for you. So what are the 6 traits of an agile marketing team? Trait number 1 is that tasks are assigned and completed within something called a sprint. So a sprint is a set interval for work to be completed within. All sprints should be the same length, like 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, and they shouldn't change after they start. So you probably have like a incumbent or like de facto sprint length. You say, hey, I want this work done by Friday. That might be how you typically task inside of your organization. Or you might say, hey, I want this work done before this thing goes live. Or you might say, let's deliver this project by the end of the month. Mm-hmm. So your sprint lengths may be every week or every month or some variation thereof, but they're not clear. What you want to have is you want to start having just sprints that are, I prefer, and we found to be the most effective is 2-week sprints. And working with developers, they like 2-week, 3-week sprints. And in that sprint, work is defined. Everyone knows what they're doing. And then they have that amount of time to get that work completed. And how this is different than traditional, marketing departments is marketing departments, everyone has tasks and outcomes, and they kind of all have different levels of priority. And you're trying to figure out, as like the technician, the marketer, the copywriter, the designer, whatever, you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do first? What's the most important? And you're always like reprioritizing things. And having a sprint, everyone has agreed to an outcome, and you do your own work to get towards that outcome. So it reduces, I think, the pressure, because I can get more done in 2 weeks than I can in 2 1-week sprints. If I know I have 2 weeks to do something, I can throttle my time as it makes sense more naturally. And if I've got to wait on people, whatever, like I can bear a 2-day waiting period on getting back and hearing back from someone. But if I have a 1-week sprint and I have to deliver an outcome on Friday and I didn't hear back from someone for 2 days, that's too much of the sprint. And, I've lost potentially my ability to deliver. So just first of all, set how often do you want to have sprints? I think 2 weeks is what you should do. And again, they shouldn't change after they start, meaning the tasks people are given, they've got 2 weeks to complete it. You can't then come in and say, oh, guys, I've got this other crazy idea. Let's do this thing right now too. Because everyone's saying, no, I'm locked and loaded. I've planned my 2 weeks out. I know what I'm doing. You can't bring new and different onto me. The second trait is that daily scrums are hosted. These are some funny words like sprints and scrums, but I think those are the only two. So a scrum is a stand-up meeting. And again, this comes from the development world, right? Like software development. And for teams of 10 people or under, this is typically a 15-minute meeting. And it's known as like a stand-up, as like, stand up, let's go stand over by the water cooler. All right, Kirk, what are you doing? Raphael, what are you doing? Casey, what are you doing today? And the three things that you cover are, what'd you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And where are you blocked? That's it. So you go around the room pretty quickly. Everyone just kind of gets a quick connection. You know what everyone else is doing. Everyone's focused. Cool. Go back to work. Now, if you have a distributed team, you could do a live call, or you could do something like on Slack, there are these bots that just ask that question every day. And if you've got people at different time zones, it's really nice. You can hit them all at 9 a.m. local time. And it asks, hey, Kirk, check in. What'd you do yesterday? What are you doing today? Were you blocked? And then when Kirk fills that out, it hits the Slack channel. Everyone's updated. It's pretty neat. Scrum can be spelled with all capital letters or not. And it's not an acronym. It's just a term that comes from rugby. It's like a huddle, I think. So don't worry about like how it's spelled or what it stands for. It just means a kind of a get together, a stand-up meeting. So scrums are the thing that, you have the 2-week sprint. Great. Your outcomes for 2 weeks. And then every day you just do a quick check-in on what you're doing. Everyone gets kind of touch base. And it's a great time to do that check-in and be like, Kirk, I need 10 minutes from you today. Raph, I need 5 minutes from you tomorrow. Is that cool? Cool. Let's plan it. Great. And you can make that all happen in that 15-minute meeting really effectively instead of, volleying for people, later on. All right. Trait number 3, you have a marketing strategy that dictates the quarterly outcomes, or ROCs if you use like the EOS methodology. I think this is a really important one. And most businesses lack this in marketing specifically, which is by the end of this quarter, at the end of Q4 2020, what ROC, what outcomes must we have in order to be on track for our growth goals? And these need to be simple. We need to have systematic tracking of marketing sources and be able to report to them so that we know which marketing campaigns deliver results. That might be one outcome. Notice that outcome isn't, we need this software to do this thing with that thing, right? It's a more generalized outcome. It's a little softer. And the reason I think that that's important is because in my experience, it doesn't matter how the outcome is achieved as long as it's achieved, right? So it doesn't matter that you use this software or that software, or this person does it or that person does it. The quarterly outcome has to happen for the company, and then the team has to work together to figure out the best way to do it. So everyone should understand the ROCs that the team is aiming for. So the fourth trait is that everyone has their own outcomes. So you've got these ROCs, which are the overarching thing that the company has to have at the end of the quarter, but every individual needs to know what they're accountable for. And this comes in the form of sprints and ROCs. What do you need to deliver by the end of the sprint, or what do you need to deliver by the end of the quarter? And our joke is that you can wake up the people that we've worked with who run this methodology that we've trained them on, and you wake them up in the middle of the night and you say, Raphael, what are you delivering by the end of the quarter? And Raph could recite it, right? He knows. It's like, it's that clear to him. And what's great about that is you can manage him then to that deliverable. And he has the ability to make it happen, right? Gives him the confidence in the direction. So to do that, trait number 5 is that you have to have KPIs or OKRs tightly tracked. So you need to be able to know, how many leads did you get? How many leads resulted in a sale? What was the return on investment or the return on ad spend by channel? Facebook ads versus Google ads versus, right? As well as, what is the completion rate of the quarterly and sprint objectives? That's really important. You don't want to have a sprint where you give someone 20 tasks and they can't complete 10 of them, right? That's not effective. You want your sprints to be, you want to see like I mean, typically we want to see like a 70, 80, 90% completion rate on our sprint objectives every 2 weeks. Why not 100? Because when it's 100, there's probably room for a little bit more that could happen during that sprint. So, a good sprint is like 80% complete. We find that pretty satisfactory.
Yeah. Hey, Casey, just to weigh in here. I mean, the numbers, right? KPIs, OKRs, by whatever terminology. I mean, in our experience with clients, I mean, it's decisive. I mean, the clients who have, like in your example for these sprints, if you have the key measurements, what activities do you do? Then what's the measurement for effectiveness, like conversion ratios? The ones that are tracking that, weekly, that is, they're able to identify the kinks in the holes proactively every week and take action. And it's just the difference that makes is just night and day between predictable good outcome versus who knows what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if what you're doing is working and you can measure it, then you can put more focus on it.
Yeah.
It seems pretty clear, but I think oftentimes marketing is such a haphazard department. People are just overly creative and not process driven enough that they end up coming up with work to do and never actually finishing it and getting the results that are intended. So I think that's spot on. I think a great example is SEO, right? If you want to be number one on Google for a keyword term, you can hire an SEO firm. And those SEO firms, I'm so frustrated with them in general, although I think they're not as bad as PR firms can be.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is like the SEO team is like, sure, yeah, you're seeing movement in these keywords and these keywords went up and these went down. But what you're not seeing is like the programmatic strategy, which is we're going to develop this content on your website to move this keyword. And our prediction is in the next 6 months, it'll move from position 22 to position 11, right? Like I want that. I want to know what you're doing every week. I want to be able to measure that. So that gets us into our next trait, which is you have a weekly hands-on, all hands marketing meeting. So this is when everyone comes together and you have a meeting. And there's two types of meetings here. You have a sprint planning or a sprint review. And what the distinction is if you have a 2-week sprint and you meet every Monday, the first Monday of the month is going to be a sprint planning. You're planning what you're doing for the next 2 weeks. And then the team has 2 weeks to do it. Well, a week into that 2 weeks, you want to check in with everyone. Hey, quick check-in, guys. How's everyone doing? Where are you stuck? Like, can we work anything out? Et cetera. That is a sprint review. And you treat them quite differently. A sprint planning is, okay, here are the ideas that came in. Here's the priority. Let's figure out what we're going to do. Let's get a little creative. Sprint review is, all right, how far are we? Where are we stuck? Cool. You guys good? Great. And then you can split. I find that sprint review meetings are a lot easier or faster, and sprint planning take a little more cognitive function because you got to figure out, what you're doing. You then manage to the KPIs or the outcomes. You got to keep the big picture on these calls. If you think about like building a car, it's not about the color of the the window switch, right? To go put the window up or down. It's the fact that there's a switch that operates the window to go up or down. So don't be overly focused on the individual trait of a specific task. I mean, you can get into that if that's necessary, but really you want to keep the big picture. When you flip a switch, does the window go up? And then when you flip it the other way, does it go down? Okay, good. Then we're on track, right? That's what you want to be tracking.
Yeah.
All right. So those 6 traits, though, are not enough. You need 6 additional agile marketing traits to make your team competitive. So those first 6 traits are the more traditional traits, the more traditional things that you see in agile marketing. And if you do those things, I think you'll have a level of success. But to be more competitive, you need to do the following 6 things. Okay. So the first bonus trait here is that you have to reward smart risk taking, even if the outcome isn't ideal. And the term here is like building psychological safety. What you want in your business is you want people to know what's needed, like the outcome, have the time and the skills to be able to do the thing, and know that if they need to know that if they take a risk that is a well-calculated risk and an intelligent risk, and it doesn't work out, that their job's not in jeopardy, right? I want my team to take risks. I want them to say, ooh, I know that this is the outcome. I tried this thing, didn't work. I'd say, bummer, it didn't work. You know, do I agree with your logic on how you came up with the strategy to try that thing? Okay, if so, cool. If not, here's what I would have done differently. But let's record this learning moment and not do it again. It's not like I'm upset. It's just that I'm trying to kind of fail our way to success in some regards. Another point here is that employees typically need HR's approval to spend like $100 on a course, right? If your marketer's like, hey, I want to get better at Google Ads, and I found this great course, it's $100, they're gonna have to go through like a chain of command to get approval. But that same employee can turn around and call a meeting with 5 other employees and burn $200 on a meeting.
Ha.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like the incentive is off. You want the incentive to be for them to take risks and learn and help you and get towards the outcomes, and not feel frustrated or like their job's at risk, or, you know, limited punitively from like some lame like HR regulation or rule. So reward your team for taking risks and encourage that risk taking. And sometimes the results won't be ideal, and that's okay. Just like limit it as much as possible, right? I don't want anyone blowing 10 grand on a marketing campaign, but if they go spend $250 and it doesn't work out, that's okay. Trait number 2, create hypotheses and test them. In marketing, you got to do this. You got to keep a log of your hypotheses. You can improve your team's ability to predict the future. Isn't that what we all want? Is to be able to predict the future? The way that you can do that is you can say, all right, I think if we do this thing, if we run this campaign, we're going to get this number of leads that'll be this qualified. And as a result, they'll convert at this rate. And I think we'll bring in this much money. We'll write it down. If everyone agrees, you know, if that person wants to do it and that's appropriate for their role, or if their manager kind of agrees to that, if it's a bigger test or something, run it and then record it. So the team can't just be executing. Executing is like, I did step 1, then I did step 2, then I did step 3. Next project, step 1, step 2, step 3. Next project. No. Like if you do that, you're never getting better. So you have to keep a log of what you thought the outcome was, and then what the outcome actually was, and then see the delta and have a learning moment from that. A great hack is from Farnham Street. They've got a decision journal. This is something I encourage like executives that are listening just to pick up. They're cheap. I don't know the price, but they're maybe like $5 or $10 a piece. And you just like write, you have a big decision to make. You write it down. What do you think is going to happen? What are all the variables in play? And then you put a time to review it. And then you write what actually happened and what you learn, and, you know, what were the unforeseen consequences and things like that. It's a great way for you to get better at your decision making. And in marketing, this is absolutely critical. All right, bonus trait number 3. Your marketing campaigns should be an inch wide and a mile deep. And what I mean by this is, like, I can't tell you how many companies I've chatted with who are doing everything. Like if there's a bingo game, they have the whole board covered. They're doing SEO, PPC, YouTube, they're doing social media, they're doing direct mail, they're doing cold calling, cold email, cold LinkedIn, webinars. They're like doing everything possible. And they think that if they do it all, they'll be successful. But what they fail to realize is that they're doing too much and not anything great. So they're like doing an okay job at everything, but they're not focused and really getting the depth in an individual campaign. There's plenty of people who have done very well with cold email. Like that's a great approach if it's right for your business. Others have made a lot of money on cold LinkedIn, right? Going on LinkedIn, messaging people, scheduling calls, closing them on the calls. If you do any of those campaigns poorly, you're going to get like 0 results. I think of an 80-20, right? If you know the Pareto principle, 80-20, the typical thing is 20% of your marketing campaigns lead to 80% of the results. I think that's true. And there's like another step I think that's important to note, which is when you build those campaigns out, it takes 80% of the effort to build that out, right? To build out the campaign, to figure out what to do, to build it out, to write the emails, to do whatever. But you're getting only a very small result. Then you have to optimize that. So if you want to go from that 80-20, which is 80% of the effort, 20% of the results. You need to focus that additional 20% of effort to really get those results. And what that looks like is split testing, continuing to research and read, looking at ways to increase the efficacy of those campaigns. So you want to be an inch wide and a mile deep. One of my favorite examples of this is Airbnb. When Airbnb started, they had this platform where they had homes for rent, right? Well, they weren't getting any traffic to their website. Where's all that traffic? Where does it all live? Well, it's on Craigslist. So they just posted their listings on Craigslist all across the country.
Is that right?
And as a result, they just stole that traffic from Craigslist.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. And sure, they did other campaigns too, but none of them were as effective as that. And once they knew that that was effective, they went crazy on it. And that's what I want people listening to do. Pick a few campaigns, 2 campaigns, 3 campaigns, and just drive them better than everyone else. And don't play the bingo game of trying to do every single thing. Trait number 4, build your marketing intellectual property and keep it from outside eyes. This is huge. If you are working on an invention, I've got a buddy who works for one of those self-driving car companies, and he's a patent agent there. And he's just like, he's approving or he's submitting so many patents every single year to the federal government, right? Like that's the intellectual property of the developers. That makes sense, right? Well, why on the marketing side would you hire an agency to come in to develop some stuff for you and then go take that away and sell it to your competitors? That's what happens when you hire agencies. Agencies learn how to do what you're doing. You might pay them to kind of invent it, and then they're going to go take that invention and go sell it to your competition. A little silly. So just keep in mind that your marketing process is your intellectual property. It's not just your product or service. I mean, look at, Kirk, do you know the Dollar Shave Club?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
You've heard
Yeah.
them? So those guys sold to Unilever for $1 billion. Okay, this is a couple of years ago. $1 billion. And everyone's like, well, they have great marketing and they've got a great product. Well, their product is a Dorco razor. You go to Dorco Razors and you go buy the same exact razors that you get on Dollar Shave Club. I mean, the same exact one. They don't even like pad print the Dollar Shave Club logo on them. It's the same exact razor. All Dollar Shave Club is marketing innovation. They innovated the marketing. That's what they sold. They sold the continuity of customers who continued to buy on auto ship or whatever. Sure. But honestly, when I first saw Dollar Shave Club, I said, who makes these? I went and I bought like a 2-year supply of razors because I didn't want to deal with like monthly shipments coming in and like running low, right? So marketing automation is the intellectual property. They kept it. They sold that. That's what got valued at $1 billion, not the product. So don't be overly concerned. Be overly concerned about your product, but don't stop that concern there. Like continue to be protective of your marketing process. That is the thing that can set you apart. All right, trait number 5. You need to be able to distinguish between new and different and routine. This is a learning that we had, and it was kind of a big breakthrough for us. When you do things that are new and different, they're hard. Duh, right? Obviously. So you're going to do a new marketing campaign. Let's say you want to learn how to do webinars. Okay, what's that like? What are the slides like? How do I present? How do I intro? How do I get people to stick around to the end? You know, all that stuff. That's new and different. That's hard. It's going to take a lot of cognitive load to make that happen. Once you've done it a couple of times, it becomes routine. So the effort to make that happen to start is high, and then it decreases pretty dramatically, and then it becomes routine. Routine work should be given to someone who's process-oriented. Okay, think about that. Are you the kind of person who likes to do the same thing over and over again and improve it every single time? Or are you the kind of person who likes to create the new thing and do it once and then hand it to someone else? Right? I'm the latter. My wife is the former. We work really well where I start something and then she finishes it. We've got a really great relationship for that.
Pretty good.
So with our clients and the companies that we advise, it's important just to have to distinguish between these two things. Is it new and different, or is it routine? And if it's routine, make sure the person doing the routine work is the kind of person who enjoys routine work. Also, routine work, like an agency shouldn't do that. You shouldn't pay a high-priced agency to do routine work for you. Why? Because it's routine, because it's easy peasy. So most agencies are going to love that work because it's easy for them and they get to charge you their full rate, and their team member just kind of like does the same thing every week. You can build that capability in-house. So start building routine. One of the companies we advise, a person there has about like 20 hours, 30 hours a week of routine work. This is their job to keep the lights on. But then there's some innovation that happens on top of that, and that other 10 to 20 hours a week that's new and different. And as that happens, that gets, shed to another team member, or she continues to do that work herself, or, gets sent offshore or whatever. So just be able to make that distinction. And the last trait here is that you have a concise marketing strategy that you believe is possible. Man, that's a big one, that you believe is possible. I've talked to people who have said some really bogus stuff. I want to grow my business 10 times in the next year, and my marketing strategy is to do 100 different marketing campaigns. It's just like, what? I talked to someone not too long ago, and he wanted to grow 2 businesses simultaneously and not have any real focus on one outcome. And it was just like, you know what, man, that's a train wreck. You need to focus on one thing and get to the completion of it. Maybe 80% of your effort on the one and then 20% of your effort on the other stuff. That's fine. But like, you have to focus long enough. You have to have a strategy that you believe is possible. I guess he believed that one was possible. I didn't. I wonder what's happening to him. So your team looks to you for leadership and for strategy and for direction. So you have to be confident in your strategy, and then you can let your team make your dreams come true. So marketing strategy is like kind of the foundation of all of this. If you have a great strategy, then you can build a great team to execute it inside of sprints to deliver every 2 weeks against a quarterly objective. Okay. So in embodying these 12 traits, your organization can flip from dysfunction to becoming something that we call a functional team, which is what you want, right? A functional team is like executing effectively. So here's here's Lacey at Fastmail. And Fastmail, again, is a major player in the private email service, kind of as an alternative to Google for people who want to get off of Google and stop having Google read everything that you receive and then send ads to you based on that. So she adopted these agile marketing tactics, and she went from this place of like having too many priorities, no clear or coherent strategy, checking all of the boxes, kind of doing everything, but not knowing kind of where to focus. And now she's got confidence and clarity. She's able to manage vendors on her team very well, and get the outcomes that she needs, and like level up instead of being the person who's trying to do everything to the person who knows the few things that are necessary and is getting the right people to execute those things. So let's review. I promised you 5 things. So promise number 1 was, I said what agile marketing is not. So it's not, right? Like, if you lack focus, you're not agile. If no one owns an outcome, like wake them up in the middle of the night, Kirk, what's your outcome? If they don't have that, you're not agile. If you're running too many campaigns, you're not agile. If you're not confident in your strategy, you're not agile. And if you have no leadership, you're not agile. Promise number 2, where the role of strategy fits into execution and how to get out of your team's way of delivering on time. So if you lack strategy, you can't expect team buy-in nor strategic campaigns to deliver your necessary results. Execution without strategy is a recipe for disaster, right? I'm just going to execute these marketing campaigns, but I don't have an overarching strategy. That's very common. Someone's just saying, hey, boss, I just did all the things you said. And you're saying, I said those things, but I guess I don't know really what the bigger picture was that we're trying to get and if it's possible to get there, right? It's like, if you're going to go overtake a city as a small army, you're not going to like have a little battle over here and then go like 100 miles and have a little battle over there and then set up camp 300 miles to the east. Like, that doesn't make sense. You're going to have these moves that are coordinated to be able to get you to the outcome. That's how you have to play the marketing game. Promise number 3 is the key thing your marketing team is lacking right now that's causing your team to spend excessive time to deliver small results. That's, you're not operating inside of sprints, you're not KPI or OKR focused, and you're not managing people to the numbers. If you don't manage people to the numbers, how do you know if people are performing or not? They might be doing tasks, they might be exhausted by the end of the work week because they really care, but they might not be delivering any tangible result. Right? If all they're doing is posting on Twitter and you have no Twitter followers and no leads that come in from Twitter, and as a result, no sales, And as a result, you're wasting money on that person. Well, you're wasting money on that person. So you need to operate inside of these sprints, know your numbers, and then manage people to the numbers.
Yeah, pretty much, Casey. The numbers, if the key things are not being measured, you can be real sure that there's something being left on the table, something material.
Absolutely.
And it always gets me with marketing folks, internal and external, when they don't want to stick their neck out and say, for a campaign, what do we expect? And then they don't want to track those week to week. It's like pulling teeth just to get that weekly insight. The only way to have visibility is where we at compared to what we expected. So using the numbers.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, it's a great thing. It's like, where do we want to be? Where are we now? What's the difference? Why? What did we learn? How do we do better at predicting how far we can go the next time?
Yeah.
I mean, after you do this, just a couple sprint cycles, things start to feel really good, but it is sticky to get started, right? To take a team that's like super fractured, everyone's doing other things, to get them on this, there can be some, I would say, some escape velocity necessary. So the next promise that I had, make sure I delivered on it, was how to annihilate uncertainty around what to do every week in marketing. So you want to propel your business forward confidently. And it's simple. You just have to have a quarterly plan and then break those deliverables into sprint objectives and have a marketing leader scrum with your team daily to ensure the team is on track. It's great. It's simple, right? Promise number 5, which is how to do all this without hiring a full-time in-house CMO or marketing leader. Now, a full-time in-house CMO or marketing director is an expensive hire, right? Typical CMO goes for $170,000 minimum, and they might not be the right person for you. What you need is a great marketing strategy to start. So how can you have confidence in your marketing strategy? That's the question. So we want to talk about your marketing strategy and your leadership. So I want to ask you, which of the following do you lack here? Do you lack a comprehensive marketing strategy? Do you have marketing leadership to support the team? I don't mean just people doing the work. I mean people for them to ask questions to, and those people to, provide guidance and direction. Do you have a clear understanding of your quarterly marketing outcomes and how to achieve them? So an example of that is we need to get an extra 100 leads a week coming in, and we're going to bring in 25 from SEO, 50 from Google Ads, and the other 25 we don't know, and we've got to come up with new campaigns to make that happen. Like, do you have that level of simplicity and clarity? And then last, do you have the team to execute on the marketing strategy and produce the results? So just write down what you're missing, right, on your paper. I'm missing strategy, leadership, outcomes, and the team. Maybe you're missing it all, right? Maybe you're a small organization, or maybe you've got a lot of marketing people, but you have no leadership and strategy. So I'd like to give you a second opinion on your marketing strategy on a focused 30-minute, no-cost call. Here's how I can help. I want to help you get clarity on 3 things. One is your number one dogged focus to grow your business. This is like the stupid, simple thing to do. I keep it on a note card, right? I keep a note card at my computer. I see it every single day. I know my dogged focus. I know what my outcomes are. It's like that simple. And when new projects and tasks come up, I look at this and say, does that request actually meet my dogged focus? And if it does, cool. And if it doesn't, then I push back on it. So I'm going to help you define your number one dogged focus to grow your business. 2, I'm going to help you uncover at least one blind spot that's keeping you from achieving your vision. Right? The notion of a blind spot is you can't see it. Let someone else see it. I'm pretty experienced in this stuff, so I think I can help. And then 3, I want to give you a perfect fit marketing campaign that you can execute immediately with the resources you currently have. So there's typically one solid campaign that you can run that can generate revenue for you pretty quickly. So I want to give you, what that campaign is. I'll tell you exactly what it is and how I would do it. My team and I have set aside some time in the next week to speak to you personally and define your number one dogged focus, uncover your blind spots, and identify at least one perfect fit marketing campaign that you can start applying to your business immediately. And again, the cost of it is totally free. You must be a business owner, though, or a COO or marketing manager, coordinator, director, or CMO, and be committed to dramatically improving your marketing and profits and have genuine concern for your clients' well-being, right? I don't want people that are interested in just stealing money from their clients. I can tell you some stories on that one. So on the call, we'll help you get total clarity on exactly where you are now, where you want to be, and the exact steps you need to take in order to achieve your goals, both in business growth and maybe even in career growth if you're not the CEO. If after this call, you want my personal one-on-one support or the support of one of our fractional chief marketing officers, and we mutually agree that you're a good fit, I'll share more information on what that can look like. And if not, that's totally cool too. I'll just make sure that the call is valuable to you and really help you out, even if you aren't interested in us working together. Above all, I want to help hardworking people scale their companies through smart, agile marketing. I've used the tools in this training to get these results for clients. We increased the lifetime customer value of a fitness business by 2,000% in 5 months. It was enormous. We increased monthly recurring revenue of one business by $47,000 a month. We did that in about four months. Launched 2 New York Times best-selling books, raised over $1 million on Kickstarter, and a ton more. And if we work together, I would expect you to start generating new customers and driving profits within the first few weeks. So here's a guy that we supported. His name's Warren McKee. He made $11,000 in 4 weeks working with us, following the framework that we outlined. And this is how we produce predictable results. He was in this place of hope and pray marketing, which you might be in, which is not really knowing your ideal customer, not having any successful marketing campaigns. He was able to focus, get direction, and generate a lot of revenue pretty quickly for his small business. So schedule the call if you want to finally have confidence in your marketing, if you want to have a robust, perfect fit marketing strategy for your business, if you want to be assured you'll break through your growth ceiling, maybe you think that there's a limit to how far you can grow. If you want to reduce the expenses of marketing consultants and agencies, right? I think agencies have a place. I think consultants have a place, but generally speaking, they're very short-lived, and you want to be able to build that resource in-house. I want to show you how. And to be seen, if you want to be seen and rewarded as the innovative leader that you are, you should book a call with me.
Yeah.
So sign up now. I've got just a few spaces that are open. So it's my website, cmox.co/call. It's really simple, cmox.co/call. And I mentioned I was going to give you some free stuff. So I'm going to pull up a page real quick and show it to you. Let me just get into Chrome. cmox.co/call, and I'll share my screen. So when you go to this page, cmox.co/call, you'll see how you can schedule a meeting with me, and you'll pick a time that works and fill in your information, and then it'll book it and it'll send you a Zoom link. We'll meet over Zoom. And this is just going to start with a 10-minute meeting. And then if we want, we can, book a longer meeting, super low pressure. Now, I offered those free things. You'll see some of the work that we've done in some of the testimonials. But at the very bottom of this page, after all these testimonials, you'll see these bonus links. So there's 4 here. One is an Agile Marketing call agenda. So you can come grab this. And this is the full call agenda on how to run an Agile Marketing meeting. You'll see how it's laid out, and you'll be able to take this and swipe it and use it inside of your organization. The next is a grand reopening, phone and voicemail scripts, emails and text messages. If your business is closed and you're going to reopen a physical location, with COVID, here's some scripts and exactly what you can do to make that happen. I mean, this is a 9-page document that has everything from the phone scripts to the emails that you send out and text messages. Next is how to find, hire, and train an in-house marketer. If you want someone on your staff to do the marketing labor for you, just click this. This is a long document. What do we got? Yeah, 11 pages. And it includes how to find an in-house marketer, where they are, what skills they must have, interview questions, and even a link down to applications so you can pull in a marketer to do the work for you if you'd like. And then last is the pre-flight checklist. This is a great little thing before you launch any new project. You want to make sure that all these things are complete. And we encourage you to go through and do a check of all these things. This is your pre-flight checklist, just like a pilot would have. So the reason that I'm giving you all that stuff is because you need someone to execute. You need the pre-flight checklist. Those things are all important. You need the marketing, the Agile Marketing meeting agenda. But on top of that, you need marketing strategy. And that's something that we can provide. So if you'd like help identifying your ideal marketing strategy, that perfect fit marketing strategy, then I'd love to help you personally uncover that. So go ahead and book a call with me right now. That again, it's cmox.co/call. And at the bottom of that page is where all those links are. But book a call with me. We'll just do 10 minutes to start. Spaces are limited. And Kirk is also available for calls if you want to gain clarity about your financial outcomes. And you can book that call with him by sending him an email, kirk@foresightcfo.com, or giving him a call. So while y'all are booking calls, I'd love to hear if you have any questions. You're welcome to drop them in the chat.
I want to highlight some kind of key points. So your construct, Casey, is that, hey, have a strategy. Instead of having loosely associated tasks where you're just busy doing activities that may or may not get the outcome, have a strategy, and then connect that strategy to the, what are you actually executing in really short bursts, so quick cycles of learning, right? Then you measure, the outcomes that you're getting, and then do the next cycle. Is that kind of the construct? And then one more thing kind of beyond that, make sure that you have the right CMO oversight so that you're not locked in to just what you know internally, and at the same time develop your capability internally to stay one step ahead of the business, kind of thing. Is that roughly it?
Yeah. So there's a couple things there. The first is that it doesn't matter how good your team is at executing tasks if the tasks that they're executing are based on a bad strategy. So the most important thing in your business is having a good strategy that you believe in, that is actually possible, right? It's not like a collection of everyone else's marketing tactics that you tried to organize as someone who's not an expert in marketing. So having a coherent, comprehensive strategic marketing strategy, I think, is important, like the most important thing. And then it's having the team members to execute it. And how they execute it is typically haphazardly. Well, I'm going to do this. Oh, shoot, I'm working on this. I've got all these other campaigns I'm working on, yada, yada. Instead of saying, at the end of this 2 weeks, I'm delivering this campaign complete with a bow on it. That's what you want people to say. You want them to complete something. You want them to have a deliverable, something that's measurable, some kind of outcome. And if you do that, then you're going to be able to manage those people back to the KPIs. So for instance, even internally, we've got a guy on our team that helps us with one of our marketing campaigns. And every week when we have our team meeting, I review and say, okay, here was the outcome that you have to be hitting. Over the last month, are you on track? Over the last 3 months, are you on track? When we do our quarterly review, did you complete the thing that you were supposed to do? And in our last quarterly review, which just happened, he completed everything. So we were able to know that he was effective. And then the question is, are the outcomes that he produced worth the cost of him to produce the outcomes? And that's another strategic level question. And I have to, look into that and make that decision. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for me? You want to drop them in the chat?
Yes. Excellent. I like the rhythm, and I don't see any questions. So, and certainly Casey's available, but book that appointment. Nothing's lost by having a conversation specifically about where you're at and what you're working on. And if there's a shot to do something better, do it better, because this will pay off. So, Casey, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I see a question for Susan.
Yeah, I see that. So with extremely limited resources, well, the question begs, like, what is this, right? Can you scale your company to $1 billion a year with limited resources? Like, probably not, but there's something that you could do. I'm a big fan of hiring offshore for routine work, especially some labor that I think is like really valuable, but not necessarily difficult. So once you have like a cold email strategy laid out and you get that strategy built, then someone can just execute that for you. And, maybe that's like a mix of software and an offshore person. I think that with routine work, like finding prospects, if you have a rubric of what makes a good prospect, then you can hand that to someone offshore and pay $6.50 an hour for that person to deliver that stuff to you and have them work 10 hours a week. I think that could absolutely work. And also, if you're in a position where your resources are overly limited, it may make sense for you just to focus on the one thing that you know works and go sell some higher end, customers or whatever makes sense for you, just to generate some more cash flow, and then invest in marketing. I'm a believer that marketing is salesmanship multiplied. So if you can't sell, you can't market. So you should sell first, make your sales, and then realize that you want to sell, in multiplication. You want to have more leverage on sales, and that's where marketing comes in. And one last thing, Susan, there's campaigns like SEO, which is a really great way to drive qualified leads to your business, right? Being number one on Google for some keyword term. And SEO takes a while. SEO can take a long time. It can take years for you to rank on the first page of Google for something. But if you start now, in a couple of years, your business will be rewarded for that effort. And that's not necessarily difficult or expensive work, but you have to have that outcome in mind. So if you'd like, we can have a conversation. Just go ahead and book a call with me and we can chat for 10 minutes and see if I can get you on the right direction. Looks like, Susan, you already booked a call, and Mary booked a call as well. That's great.
Yeah, fantastic. So we're at time, and hey, Casey, thank you so much. I mean, you're my go-to guy for for clients and ourselves about, hey, what can we do better, right? And kind of guidance. So very much appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, well, I appreciate being here, and I just know, it's more important than ever to have your financials in order. And once your financials are in order, you can get your marketing in order, and then that's how you can beat your competitors. So many businesses that we look at, Kirk, you see them as successful, I see them as successful, but when you get behind the scenes, they're lucky, right? They're not programmatic, right? They're not strategic.
Yeah.
And if a company here is listening and they say, oh, wow, I want to level up, how they do that is they start getting really strategic and specific and drive those results through marketing, through finance, et cetera. So book a call with myself, book a call with Kirk by emailing him. And I look forward to chatting with you guys. And Tim, we'll be sending out a replay here tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for having me, Kirk. Appreciate it.
Thank you. See you all soon.
All right. So long.
Bye-bye.